Hello, I'm State Senator Cecil Staton, and this is a report from the Capitol. For 3 weeks now, we have been meeting in Atlanta, the Georgia General Assembly, for the 2009 session. The second week, however, was devoted to budget hearings. And I'm very pleased to report that in the governor's recommended budget, there is an appropriation of $15.7 million to complete the renovation of the Tift College campus in Forsyth. This renovation is very important because it will allow the State Department of Corrections to move its headquarters to Forsyth, and that brings, of course, 400 jobs and a very important economic stimulus to not only Monroe County but to the several counties surrounding Monroe County in the 18th Senate District. So we're very pleased, and we'll be working very hard over the coming weeks as the budget works through both the House and Senate to make sure that that appropriation to complete the Tift College campus conversion for the Department of Corrections remains in the budget, and we'll look forward to having those jobs in Middle Georgia probably beginning in about a year. Although we're very early into the 2009 session, certainly one of the most pressing issues for all senators and representatives this year is the state of our budget. In fact, we predict in the 2009 budget we're going to have a shortfall of between $2.2 and $2.3 billion. This is a significant amount of money, and it means, of course, we're going to be forced to make significant cuts. The state government is no different from your family or mine. When we have economic downturns, we have to sit there and make tough decisions, just like families across Georgia are doing as they're sitting at their kitchen tables and making tough decisions about their own finances. So we're going to be looking very carefully. We have to provide leadership, however, and in a budget downturn such as we're experiencing, really an unprecedented budget downturn, we're going to have to make some tough choices. I hope that we will make choices, however, based upon what is best for all Georgians, and that we'll make those tough choices about what our priorities ought to be. And in my view, that's government doing only for our citizens what our citizens cannot do for themselves. So we'll be following this process very, very carefully. I'm a member of the State Senate Appropriations Committee, and we'll be reporting back to you throughout the session on some of the decisions that are made with respect to the 2009 budget. I would certainly remind you that unlike the federal government, which can operate deficits and print money when they need to, the state of Georgia is bound by our Constitution to operate with a balanced budget. And so we'll be making those tough decisions and providing that leadership in the coming weeks as we work through the budget process. For the last 3 years, it's been a passion of mine, frankly, to work on an issue that I think is of importance to all Georgians, and it has to do with our trauma network in Georgia. We have about 15 hospitals in our state that are in a trauma system, and we're very fortunate to have one of them in Middle Georgia at the Medical Center, which is a Level 1 trauma center. But there are many areas of our state, and particularly in southwest and northeast Georgia, where if you're in an accident or you have a traumatic injury, you could be more than an hour away from a trauma center. We know that if you are in fact that far away from a trauma center, your chances of death in a serious traumatic injury are far greater, far higher. In fact, for that reason, Georgia's traumatic death rates are 10% higher than the national average. This year, I will continue to work during the General Assembly session to find adequate funding for our trauma care network. I'd like to invite you to visit a website that gives a great deal more information about our efforts to build an adequate trauma center for the state of Georgia. You'll find maps, and you can find out how far away you live from a trauma center at GeorgiaIt'sAboutTime.com. Visit it and learn more about Georgia's need for an adequate trauma care system. I'm State Senator Cecil Staton, and this is a report from the Capitol.